Ha, there we go. I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's like, am I muted? I am. Dun dun dun. So I've switched up my streaming tool, and I have. Let's see. I'm going to get a little political in this stream. I generally don't do it. I don't like to because it's you can alienate some people, you can alienate other people. But something was handed to me, and it definitely has to be watched or listened to. So I'm using I'm back on OBS streaming tool. Excuse me. There was issues. Yeah, coming from a military standpoint, that's the only reason why I'm looking to play this is because of the military implications of it, and being a military background, built a military child, dealing with the military for a majority of my life in the sense. It's just something I got to look into. But okay, so let's go over what happened yesterday. Yesterday, I've been using Streamlabs OBS for the longest time as my streaming tool for in this case for the past 24 streams. And I decided I wasn't because the multicast ability of OBS by itself, ooh, nice little whistle there, was a bit wasn't available. I found that Streamlabs actually created a plugin for OBS, so I could use OBS and instead of using Streamlabs OBS for my streaming. And let's see how all this works. Let's see, am I live? According to this, I am live there. Let's check Rumble. According to Rumble, I am live. And am I live here? Huh. It looks like I'm not live on... Oh, I am. Okay, so I am live. So it looks like I'm live everywhere else. I am not getting notifications for frame drops. Matter of fact, I'm getting a good KPS streaming at 60 frames per second. CPU usage 1.4. Now, it's kind of funny when I use Streamlabs OBS, my CPU usage spikes about like 8%, 10%, and anything else running in the background is horrible. Yeah. So we're gonna do. So right now I have nothing really set up other than my camera. So I'm gonna add a few scenes, a few capture utilities to set up. Window capture. I like window capture. Let's see. Let's add this. The only problem I don't have is I don't have the studio mode settings that I had in the other one. As far as I know, I'm trying to find it. Basically you'll see all the failures, all the setups because I don't have a studio mode. That's the one good feature. Oh, there it is, studio mode. Found it. Bam. There we go. And I can do different types of transitions. Nice. So let's see here. Where are you? What the crap? That's that one. Where is the edge? Nope, not there. Okay, let's create a new one instead. I was doing this earlier, and then I got kind of distracted with I could do a display capture. Add existing LG monitor. There we go. That's a little better. Gotta adjust a little things. Some things. Hopefully it'll show up nicely. Put you back in the corner. Yeah, I'm putting baby in the corner. As you can see, I'm missing one of my statue. It's she's been packed up. This size box is getting harder to pack. I got 2 boxes about this size. One's a giant jumbo She-Hulk Funko, and then her. So right now we are going to do a quick song. The professor here did a new yacht rock video. What's this? Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Okay, that. I'm gonna have to watch the trailer again. Looks like it's kids in the Star Wars. Yep, it is kids in Star Wars. I wonder if there was a comic book first. I'm gonna have to look it up. Kids in space. That's exactly what it is. Kids in space. All right, skip. Pause. I'm sorry. I'm easily distracted here. Skeleton Crew. Kids in space. Ah. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I could do transitions. Look at that. Look at that. I gotta hide it. All right, so here we go. This is Yacht Rock meets Ramstein. Oh, that audio did not come through. Why? Properties. Default. Set for default. There we go. Let's try this again, shall we?
You guys have been asking for Rammstein for a while, so here you go. Du hast mich. Du hast mich. Du hast mich. Du hast mich gefragt, du hast mich gefragt, du hast mich gefragt und ich hab nichts gesagt. Du bist der Torscheine, treu sein für alle Tage. Nein, willst du bist der Torscheine, treu sein für alle Tage. Nein, nein, nein.
This is the dirty little secret.
I gotta turn my own little speakers down here a little bit because I think it picked up a little too much of background, playing. Oh god, that commercial is driving me nuts. All right, so my day is kind of interesting. My place, it's kind of weird. It's in a weird state. I got roughly 90% of the stuff packed up. I still got to pack up the kitchen. I got a couple things here. I got to pack up. The living room. I got to pack up. My place, to be honest, it looked like um, how can I put it? What's a nice way of describing myself? It looked like a hoarder exploded a grenade in my house. I tend to, collect things. I mean, I have 80 posters of various things that I liked over the years, and a couple of them are actually have poster boards set up and everything. Um, I may change out one of them. I got a new. I have the Underworld with Bill Nye on it, and it is phenomenal. I got an Underworld movie poster that I like. I may reinstall it with the Battleship one. It's kind of weird. My son loves board games, loves video games, but mainly game show style games or family games. And we got a Battleship one, and I took him to go see Battleship, and the only thing he likes about the movie Battleship was the music. For the most part, he got a few references and stuff, but that's pretty much it. And he liked that Rihanna was in it too. So yeah, my place right now looks like it's kind of weird, sparse state. It more looks like the aftermath of a small hurricane or small tornado at the moment. So I was gonna stream earlier, but work kind of threw me a small curveball, and I'm kind of exhausted because my nights and days have kind of been screwed up. I've been packing things up and finding new knickknacks and corners of things like where the hell did that come from, type stories, or where the hell has that been, type thing. Because my mind goes in a chaos state where I place stuff in somewhere and say, okay, I'll get back to it later. And that's where the procrastination in me kicks in, where I want to get back to it later and then later and then later. And then whatever it's at gets covered up by something else. And then I fail to get back to it. And I'm like going, oh, there's where that little Lego car is. Oh, there's where that Lego set is. Oh, there's my Millennium Falcon. Yeah, that type of things. Um, oh God, I gotta get a haircut too. This is gonna really be interesting tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow I have to go drive down to my work, which means I gotta leave at 7. They want to be there about 11 o'clock, so I gotta leave here about 7:30, 7:40, 7:30 in the morning to get there. Pending traffic issues and stuff like that. I'll be driving by myself. I won't be taking my son with me. I'm giving him an assignment, and I hope he succeeds at it. Because if he does, I'll give him, he'll get an allowance for doing the work, and that's kind of a little bit incentive. He gets more easily distracted than I do. It is not. It is amazing, how much of me rubbed off on him in that sense. So I'm here to talk about procrastination, as I just did, where procrastination can give you, like people who have ADHD, people who are easily looked at shiny type situations. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Oh yeah, my son comes in the other day. He goes, "Dad, look at this," and he shows me a card. I'm like, okay, let's see. And I'm like, huh. And what he shows me is a card that it can go two different ways. I'm going to get it appraised and get it bagged, or get it, I'm going to get it appraised for my son and everything. So get it in a plastic and all that. But the card itself can sell from anywhere from $30 to $1,600, depends on who's interested and what condition the people think the card's in. And it was the only reason why he knew about it is that he saw an announcement on uh he saw an announcement on the news, and he's followed sports more than I do. And let's see, cover some things up if I can. There we go. And this was the card that he brought. The Mark Jackson NBA Hoops card. And what's the importance of this card? Well, right here, back in the corner of the card, is none other than the Menendez brothers courtside. That's pretty funny. So this card, where I did I did a couple checks on it. I did some. Since I'm a collector, let's see here. I didn't want to cut. I want to do. Oh, it's right now faded, fade to black. Let's get that back up. Transition. There we go. So so essentially this card, because is back in October, actually in October 9th, a card dealer was going through and noticed that, and so immediately this card, which normally this card was not maybe worth like $1 or $2, it wasn't worth that much. And yeah, it's very in range based on condition. Like this one right here would be worth probably less than $30 because of the nicks here. You got the color fade there. You got marks all down the side here, and brings the value of the card down, and a little nick there too. So yeah, it's yeah, this card became very, very expensive because of the Menendez brothers being present in the picture. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I thought it was pretty amazing, and I immediately took it. And much like this card I have here, this card right here, which is signed by Jeffrey Combs, uh, I I put it. It was hit the card surprisingly in a very good condition because the one good thing about what my son does is that he keeps his card pretty much flat and in boxes, and except unless they're cards for like you know um, playing cards, he would shuffle those things like crazy. But these cards here, he keeps in a fairly decent condition, and he immediately showed it to me, and then I immediately put it in plastic. And when I get down, I found a dealer down in Vancouver that will authenticate and uh, uh, put in the plastic protection, stuff like that, for a reasonable deal, reasonable pricing. So that is kind of cool. And if he offers me a good value for it, then more likely he probably would sell it. If not, we'll hold on to it. But yeah, the price range for this card is amazing. Like I said, the cheapest I ever found it was $30. The most expensive selling point was 1500 or 1600 at this point. One has it in near mint condition for 1600, or in this case gem mint. I don't know. I don't do with baseball cards that much. I mainly deal with comic books. I have approximately 1,500 comic book or 15,000 comic books, and I am going to be doing after the move. I'm doing a sorting and extracting from my collection. I'm going to be selling roughly about 3,000 of them. The ones that I've never really collected that were just somehow given to me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy seeing them. I enjoy looking at them, looking at different artists over the years and stuff like that, and how they did things. But yeah, so that was kind of cool. All right, so let's go over this. So this is interview. I guess is he our new secretary? Um, Won't be our new Secretary of Defense. Let's see. Yeah, Pete. So Pete Hegseth, Hegseth, Hegseth. Trump made the announcement that he has chosen him to serve as the new Secretary of Defense. Now, I'm a military veteran. I served only 4 years back during the um, Desert Storm, Desert Shield time period, where shortly after the events of Desert Storm, Desert Shield, there was a yeah, he's been nominated. He won't. It's whether or not Senate approves at this point that will happen after January 20th. So it depends how many recesses are going to be requested by the opposing party or parties. Depends on plural, singular. Take your pick. Um. So we're gonna play this, and yeah, well, there's a lot. Yeah, I probably if it wasn't the fact when I was in the military, I definitely wasn't molded correctly. The idea of going to basic training, when you go to basic training, is they're supposed to help break down your spirit in a way that they can mold you into something else, and then you transition into that mindset. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get partial, sometimes you don't. I would say I got partial because all I did when I was instructed to do something, I did exactly what I was instructed to do. And then they go, well, no, yes, that's great, you did exactly what we want, but we also want you to anticipate what we want too. You can't just do exactly. And then you got to have the good old boy status or good old girl. Depends on who it is. You got to be able to mesh walls with others. And pretty much with me, if I was in a group that didn't understand movie references, didn't understand TV, sci-fi, geeky stuff in that sense, and so it didn't quite work out that well for me in that sense. Got along with a few people, but not a whole lot. It was kind of rough. I got along with a lot of the older military guys versus the younger ones, the ones that were in it for about 5, 6 years, 10 at best. I didn't quite get along with, and I got along with the ones that were the 15, 20-year people. But yeah, so this is there's a understanding, I guess. I listened to part of the interview and I was like, okay, it's only a 1.3, it's only a minute and 30 seconds, so we'll see what he has. From my understanding, something that, from what I heard so far, is about right. So yeah,
There's a chance to course correct it, but it would take the new Trump administration going after it really hard.
How would they correct it?
Well, first of all, you got to fire. You got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever that was involved in any of the DEI woke shit, has got to go. Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it. That's the only litmus test we care about. You got to get DEI and CRT out of military academies, so you're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking. And then, whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, I don't know, 1995, let's just make those the standards. And as far as recruiting, to hire the guy that, did Top Gun Maverick and create some real ads that motivate people to want to serve. And there's lots of other ways in which you could identify who gets promoted and what, but there's an ethos change. I mean, there's a reason people don't want to serve, because they don't trust that their senior leaders are going to have their best interest in mind in combat. I know there were mistakes made on our tours all over the place, but I, at least for the most part, had a sense that my senior leaders were committed to the completion of the mission for the right reasons. And maybe there were strategic differences and all that other stuff, and it wasn't always perfect, but that trust is broken, and you have to reestablish that trust by putting in no-nonsense warfighters in those positions who aren't going to cater to the socially correct garbage.
all right. So let me quite from the military standpoint, from a military individual, and for my sense, the way I look at this, he is correct. The idea of bringing in what's the word I'm looking for here? The idea of using the DEI stuff and stuff like that, it breaks down the concept of togetherness, essentially. The whole point of the military is that you have to trust the person next to you. You have to trust the person in front of you. You have to trust the person behind you. Yeah, it is the idea that you're working together with one goal, with one purpose. And when you try to put in, um, DEI safe spaces in the military, it doesn't work. You can't have the safe space because you got to have somebody that's going to yell at you, and you cannot be walking on eggshells for that individual for yelling at you. You cannot treat another individual differently um, over the other person, because then you're dealing with certain situations. Now, don't mind you, there are things where it can get carried away. There has been problems with the military with certain situations, certain aspects of it, and I understand that. The Navy went through that severely. Um, the Air Force, I don't know if the Air Force ever had too many issues. The Marines had minor issues, but they had to change the recruiting status for the Marines to allow certain individuals in, and then they found out that it didn't quite work because that was the whole point of the creation of the movie G.I. Jane. Um, and those are things that you watch out for, and I understand those are bad situations, bad ideas, but again, you got to have a camaraderie, you got to have some linking point to be able to work with individuals without having to worry about, oh, did I say their name wrong, oh, did they you know did I misappropriate the standards of who they are, who they want to be. um it there was it was amazing. There was a recent interview with a general that said that on his base, money is not being paid for, money is not being used for DEI purposes like that and stuff like that. And then come to find out that there was a transition party program. There was a classes that were being created for DEI purposes. There was money used from the base funds for a day of trans, and anybody that got complained about it, anybody that wouldn't, claim that they wouldn't be there, stuff like that, wouldn't approve it, they got reprimanded for it, classifying whatever they said, even though they're just disagreeing with it, classified as hate speech. And then that makes it people not want to join the military. That makes people not want to serve. They want to get out early. Because you're walking on eggshells for individuals, which you shouldn't have to. You shouldn't have to be in that sense where you're trying to deal with it in a combat situation, like you said here. Yes, there's mistakes made, yes, but there's one purpose, there's one goal, and it all has to be done, and it all has to be worked together. And that's a great point, great thing that he pointed out in that sense. Um, we, it's it's so hard kind of deal with it. I had to deal with it. I deal with it a few times at conventions, and I try to be nice, or not nice. Well, I can't say I try to be nice. I try not to be aggressive or offensive to Indian individuals or anybody else. I mean, you can easily um, slip, and it happens. Uh, this is what I'm gonna. It goes back to Dragon Age, and my fear that's going to happen in Mass Effect, because apparently a lot of these developers are moving. They actually said a good portion of the developers are moving. So they had developers working on Mass Effect, and then a good portion of the developers and writers that worked on Dragon Age, once when Dragon Age was shipped, have been shifted over to Mass Effect. And I'm worried that the same things are going to happen in Mass Effect. Here's another good example of the situation. Where the U.S. sees things kind of differently in some ways. The Mass Effect board game screw things up. And this is where I think this is where the fans and this is where the people who played the game for years, even both male, female, gay, are complaining in this sense. Is take the races. The biggest one is um, the Asari race. The Asari race in the game are all females. They were classified as all females. They classified themselves in the historical facts. You know, this is a race that's almost 10,000 years old, and they classify themselves as all female race. Um, not once in any of the video games, not once in the writings and histories of the game, where they have the references of they them pronouns. They always references as she, the matriarch. There is no word patriarch doesn't exist in the Asari language. It's all matriarchs. When you get old enough, like 800 years plus old, you become a matriarch. Those who live at that age are revered as their high wisdom individuals. And it's and was it in Mass Effect 2, you go help a Krogan that was kept on as sort of like a pet or a symbol, and the Asari called him the Patriarch. You know, as more of because the exist doesn't because the word doesn't exist. It was a human word. She called it hit because it's a demeaning title for him. He doesn't have any power, doesn't have any authority. He is just just a person that doesn't exist, but belongs to the Asari who named him. Took away his real name and just called him the Patriarch. In the board game, they put on the character's pronouns for Liara, the Asari character. They put she, they. That doesn't make sense. She's a she, her. Because the Asari themselves say they are identified as all females. They don't identify as female and binary, non-binary. There is no binary option. There's ones and zeros, and that's it. They are a one. Essentially, they are just a one. There is no zero in their race. They breed by absorbing biomatter of another race. They can absorb binary material, biological material in a sense, from their own race within their own people, but they run into problems. A rarity or genetic shift causes them to be sort of like vampiric like individuals if there's too much breeding within their own people. Their genetic terms is for exploring, for expanding, and when they have children after they mate with another individual, the children are female Asari. They're not female Krogan. They don't look like a Krogan kid with Asari attributes. They are Asari with minor attributes of the joining race. So yeah, and it is frustrating in that sense to see individuals who feel that they would have to take what people love about a game and then kind of destroy it just for the sake because they want to they want to have something different. Now it's if I'm under the impression that if they want to do this, make another game. Don't. This is what there was an actual writing that went on. The people who created Mass Effect used to be a part of the Knights of the Old Republic and several of the Star Wars games. They wanted to do an offshoot game from Star Wars, and they weren't allowed to do it, and so they created Mass Effect as the result of it. So again, this is what people should, if they want to have those, have that, if they want to create a new world, create a new environment, do it, use it. You know, don't try to take um, existing canon, existing games that people pull to and hope it, and change it. Essentially, it is frustrating to watch that over the years as that happened. And the guys who created Mass Effect, the guys who created Dragon Age, did it right by making their own world, and people either loved it or hated it. And there are several games out there that started and everybody didn't like, and then all of a sudden it took off, and a few years later, and they eventually branched out to another game, and I think that's the best way to go about it. But um, I guess because of Gamergate, because of Gamergate 2, which is less than what Gamergate was, even Gamergate 1 was less than that either. I have dissenting opinion about that. And yes, I looked into that was more about how it started and why it started versus what it turned into. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it in that sense. Um, wow, I did talk about that. I didn't expect to. All right, so
When it comes to horror films, most people agree.
Pause. I've already watched that yesterday. Yep. Um, I got some. I had to reset things and everything. So there was something that was pointed out in Dragon Age Veilguard that I'm going to go back and play. I got to load up and play it and figure it out and see if it's true. See if it's something I can't avoid and just how that affects the game. So I'm going to create. I like experimenting in that sense and see what is forced into the game and how it may affect it. I know other people thought of this too, and it's going to be interesting to figure out if that is true. And yeah. So okay, I'm jumping around again in my head. I gotta write these things down so I can know exactly what I'm talking about, when I'm going to talk about it. I'm terrible at creating outlines and creating bullet points. I tend to like to think off the top of my head, but I realize that off the top of my head is jumping from one subject to the next, and it gets distracting in my head. It's like, no, I gotta keep focused on this subject, and oh, I gotta show this to you. See, distractions. So this is how much I kind of like Mass Effect, and I liked um yeah, okay, actually, one second, just to quickly go over this. People always say, and people are saying that, oh, they don't like um the fact you could have a trans character in Dragon Age, and and a lot of the dialogue is forced and stuff like that. Well, this game here is kind of the perfect example of what they say is false. Why? Because in this game here, they made a joke about able to create a transgendered character in the game, but that was it, and that was only at the character creation level. Like, oh, the individual can have, if you make it doesn't matter if you're male or female, they can have the genitals of either individuals on the person, and no one really, and no one made a big deal about it, and other than the fact that you can do it, and that's it. Um, and it didn't affect the story. It didn't affect how the gameplay of the story was, and well, I don't know. I never actually created a character like that, in that sense. But as far as I know, it never really made any changes or difference to the story. You could still be with who you want to be with and everything else. All right. So yeah. Now this is how much I like Mass Effect. Um, when they introduced in the very first time when Dragon Mass Effect 3 came out, the uh I don't know if it was the director or the developer. They had different directors for different scenes, different modules. The best director, and I got to talk with him, that did the best job as a director was with the scene where you're with Morden, and it's Morden's death. The whole thing happens on Tachanka. That was the best writing, the best directing in a video game. Sorry, I'm fiddling around with screws here. Um, and so it was great. Now the um, I want to say I was going to say Canary, but Canari's wrong. In Aquarians, Qs. Why do I like Qs? So there's a Quarian race that is a race of individuals that has. It's been said that they have low immunity systems. They are when they're forced to leave the world, they have what's called, their immunity is based upon their environment. Um, they travel from one environment to another, and their body adjusts to the environment, and then that's how they get their kind of immunities. They're very immunocompromised if they're not on their own world in the sense. And if they left planet, they got to be in an environmental suit. But and over time, their environmental suit, their body can adjust to the new environments. It just takes them a long ass time to do it if they get exposed on low grade exposure. High grade exposure is dangerous for them and causes infections that they can die. So in oh wow, they put it in there. So and when you first play Mass Effect, you can only as a male character, or yeah, even a female character, you can only romance two individuals, both a human and the Asari. And then in Mass Effect 2, they expanded out to various other characters, including the Quarian that you picked up picked up as a companion in the first game, and that was Tali Zora Narea or Tali Zora Voss Normandy. But you never quite got to see her face. You get to see a glow of her eyes. You can see the protrusion of the nose close to the mask, and that's it. She is constantly in an environmental suit. Except they give a quite hint because you're a romancer and stuff like that in the game. There's been several people who created several images, fan base images of the Quarians. This one here, and I'll show you this one. This one here is my favorite of all the pictures. I think this would have been great for the Quarian race, as for the look. But so they didn't quite. And they had several examples of Quarians. If you buy the one of the guides, the collector's guides, I have it. They have a lot of the sketch artwork that they were going to choose for the Quarian race, and they didn't quite pick one. Well, what happened was in Mass Effect 3, they finally when you play the game, here we go. This is the example. At one point she takes off her mask and to look into her own planet, and it's hard one to see. And what they did was the lead developer realized they wanted to put a picture frame the ship of like, this is a picture I took of myself while on the planet for you type situation. But in the case here, the picture is, it doesn't look right because not only did it have the picture of her face for the Korean race for the first time, it had her partially dressed too, undressed. So basically, she took off not only just her face mask, but she took off her top. She took off, exposed her shoulders and everything. And everybody's like, "Going, how did this happen? So quickly didn't work out." And what happened was, I don't know that site. No, I don't want that one either. They got big butts. Uh, that was a comment, and Joker made a comment about that, about her movement and such. So yeah, this is a much better look. It's a fan made item for it, and I actually have these statues. I got this one, and I have the, how much is it? $280. I bought it. I paid $125 for it. I got both that one and the gray one. This is the gray one. I got both of those. Sorry, I get distracted. So yeah, and I'm trying to find if I can find that picture. Let's see, tallies are. If they got, did someone get a good shot of the in-game picture? That was horrible. Right now, when you play the game, you don't see the horrible picture. They patched it out. Yeah, here we go. So this is the one that you find. You can see that her hand looks really weird. She's halfway, not halfway, but she's out of her costume and everything and all that, and she has these markings. And then people said, "What the frack's going on?" So what happened was the um, the director went and got a picture that had this face in it, and he said, "Here, alter this." And it wasn't really a thought of thing. It was like, "Here, this is a picture. Let's put this picture in there." And so as a result of it, people complain like that doesn't look right. Something's off. Yeah, the hand was off. Everything was off. And it's because he just took a regular human picture and altered it. So then, I'm not sure if it was released in Legendary Edition or something like that. They came out with this picture instead, which looked much better. And yeah, here it is. I actually bought it. So I have a picture of Tally on my desk. So this is the new picture, which makes much better sense that she took the faceplate off, used the Omni tool to take a picture of herself, and then put it back, and then put the faceplate back on. And then she presented it for Shepard to have it in. So basically in your room, the ready room for Shepard, this picture sits. It's a much better picture. So yeah, it's I think I like Tally's aura because she has a very innocence about her, and she I like her character a bit more, in the sense that she she's excited and easily excited for new things that happens, and very focused individual, very easily distracted, much like me, as you can tell. Let's see, all right, I was gonna do good bad flicks. I am not sure if I still want to do it or not. Let's see. They did produce, I think, a new video today. Let's go back here. Video. Yeah, they did 5 overlooked films in Bollywood horror, and I gotta admit, some of those things are. One of those looks really, really good. The other ones I'm like going is the idea that Bollywood has it's people complain about the U.S. whenever we have a movie that's more than 2.5 or even almost 2 hours or more. Bollywood has 3 hour movies. I mean, when I mean 3 hour movies, they have 3 hour movies because they have musical numbers throughout their movie, not just one or two, but they can have up to 5 to 7 musical numbers, and um, it is really odd, if, kind of fun in that sense. And they're enjoyable. Don't get me wrong. If you're a musical fan, that is definitely the genre of stuff you want to watch. Is a lot of the Bollywood films. The comedy, yeah, it's another part is that there's always a comedy aspect to the movie too that's added into it, whether it be serious or not. There's always one comical character. There's always at least five Bollywood dance numbers, and they're impressive. Don't get me wrong. To get them everybody to move the way they do it's impressive. So I was going to do that, but I decided we'll do that later. Let's see. Is there one more thing I want to talk about? No, we got him. Let's see. I already talked about a political thing on it. Other than passing of Tony Todd, which is so sad. Tony Todd is. I got to meet Tony Todd 4 times working in the industry for the conventions. Um, he was a great actor. He recently passed away. He was a great actor that worked well with his fans. He did turn away occasionally whenever when he was by himself, he'll turn people away because it's just the way it is. It's the way life goes. You can only do so much. But other than that, he always was very well interactive, very well spoken with when he's like presenting at the signing stuff on the table, signing stuff, doing photos and everything else. He was very well rounded in that sense. He was there for his fans, and um, as far as I know, he didn't speak ill of any of the fan that came up to visit him, except the ones that were aggressive. I mean, aggressive in the sense that they wanted his autograph just for the sake of the autograph, so they could sell it later, type of situation. Autograph hounds, the ones that want to make a quick buck off the celebrity instead of discuss the impressive work. My picture that I got of Tony Todd is of him. It's of the picture of the son of Moog um, from Star Trek. I think it was Star Trek. I want to say Deep Space Nine, but can't remember right if it was. I know in Deep Space Nine he played Jake Sisko, the elder version of Jake Sisko. I know of all the guy who played Jake. Also, he's really freaking tall, which makes sense that Tony Todd was his elder version of himself. I think I have a banner signed by Tony Todd too. Behind me here, I have a couple banners hanging on my wall. I was going to show that up. So yeah, so this week, so I'm moving on Saturday. So as of Friday night, I'll do one last stream, and then my cable will be shut off Saturday morning, and the new cable should be turned on, Saturday morning in my new location. I am going to go pick up the hardware because I can't use the same router that I have here for the router down there. It's all new environment, and which is odd, really, really odd in that sense. So I'm gonna go do that tomorrow. I'm gonna pick up the new hardware tomorrow, and then when I move down there, I'll drop off the new hardware, and hopefully, if everything goes well, if there's no overrun costs, I got the contract from the moving company, and I'm going. There's some things on here that we didn't talk. You told me this was going to be the flat fee if I don't go over a certain weight limit, and I definitely not going to go over a certain weight limit because I'm actually going to bring things down to my car too. The heaviest items is the group items I have, and that is my comic books. It's like, well, comic books don't weigh a lot. Well, yeah, you get 5 comic books together, it doesn't weigh a whole lot. You get 100 of them in a box, and that box now weighs approximately almost 5 pounds. And you figure I have, let's see, that's 4. Is that 4 over there? Or 5? No, 5. 5 by 4. So I got 20 stacked there. And then I have another 4 by 3 there. So 32, 36, 38, about 50 short boxes of comic books, and about 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 long boxes. So 50 at at 50 at 5 pounds each. That's 500 pounds. That's, sorry, I'm doing bad math. 250 pounds. And then the long boxes themselves weigh about 10 to 12 pounds each. So that's another 90 pounds. So I have about 300 pounds worth of comic books. That adds up. It really does. Um, Same thing for DVDs in a box. DVDs, you think individually they don't weigh that much, and then you get, 100 to a box, and that box all of a sudden has weight to it. And then I got my binders. I got 3 binders full of autographs. I can't find my 4th binder right now, but yeah, I kind of misplaced it. But those binders kind of add up as it goes too. I got one box that weighs about 65 pounds, just because of the binders and other paper products put into it. Because paper is so compressed, that's the reason why it weighs so much. I hope this worked out really well. I got a couple messages here. What a message I got. Okay, just a thumbs up. I got a friend who's going to get some help from me. It's a situation where now, as it is, I was supposed to get a garage with my new location, and they're trying to, because the garages are kind of sparsed out, and you would think they would assign it to units close to each other. They didn't. They, first come, first serve on garages. It's much like cover parking. First come, first serve on cover parking or uncover parking, and then you can park. You have to park, whatever is available. Cover parking is usually assigned. This place has no covered parking. A lot of open parking. First come, first serve. So at one point, if I don't get to my apartment complex without a garage, then I could park somewhere that's half a block away from where I live. And so it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens when I get down there. So I'm trying to get a garage. They're working on it. I'm gonna stop by the building, the complex tomorrow, and confirm it, because all these boxes in my front room is not going to look pretty. Some will go upstairs into my room, some won't. It's all going to be interesting. Again, I would say I hope you enjoyed the conversation here. If you like to have me talk about or have questions specific about it, send me a direct message through through Twitter, or to what's it called, Twitch, Rumble. I have all 3 of them set up, and YouTube. I got YouTube set up. Leave a comment in the description, or leave a comment below under the description. Leave a comment, subscribe, like, do all the fun stuff. If you wish to subscribe on Twitch, that'd be great. I appreciate it. If otherwise, hopefully with this new multi-streaming, I can be able to start streaming games again, and I'll probably end up streaming. I don't know which new game I will stream. A Dragon Age Velgar, you'll see me have a lot of looks or sighs, or like or make statements like, this doesn't make sense. This is the only choices I have. This is awful. As a point person said, or pointed out, that you can't have bad choices, or you can't have angry choices. It's either happy, jokey happy, or sarcastic, annoyed happy. I mean, I read BioWare, when the very first game I played from BioWare, I didn't realize it was BioWare, was Jade Empire, and Jade Empire was a great game because that was like the first introduction into Paragon Renegade effects. If you pick Paragon, your character glowed. If you pick the Renegade or the dissenting or angry choices, your character started glowing red. And at one point in time, you can kick chickens and Pomeranians, and they exploded in fire. If you're a good guy, being all white and halo it, then you couldn't kick chickens or Pomeranians. You couldn't even pet them. You couldn't interact with them. You just hear them, you get feeling like crazy, and you wish you were a bad guy so you can kick them. And I don't recommend doing that in real life because that's awful. Torturing animals and abusing animals is awful. So yeah. I want to show you this one thing. So this is a picture. Fangoria brings out a lot of stuff. I actually got to meet the original women in special effects. Some people say, "Oh, it's a men's world." No. Women did a great job on it. This was her birthday on November 11th, and her name is Millicent Patrick. She helped design the gill suit for the creature from the Black Lagoon. I actually got to meet the guy. There was two guys that were actually in this suit, and I got to meet one of them before he passed, and he had the best "I am not here" sign on his table when he left. When he left his table, the sign read, "We'll be back soon. The creature is peeing in your pool." All right. So let's end this on a we'll end this on another short yacht rock song. See if I can find it. He should make a playlist out of this. I would play some of the other stuff he had, but it's really hard to do because of the fact that they don't. I get marked for if I play like anything else. I don't know how he could do other stuff and not get hit for playing a 30-second clip of a song. I actually had that. I had a 30-second clip played, and they immediately flagged it as, "Oh, this is copyrighted." I'm like, "Wait, what? That doesn't make sense." Ooh. Oh, I gotta watch that. Sorry.
What if Slipknot was yacht rock? Y'all send me the craziest requests.
I want this shirt.
I did my time and I want out. So elusive. Fade, it doesn't cut the soul, is not so vibrant. The reckoning, the sickening packaging subversion, pseudo-sacrosanct perversion. Go drill your deserts, go dig your graves, then fill your mouth with all the money you will save. Sinking in, getting smaller again. I'm done, it has begun, I'm not the only one. And the wave will kill us all, throw ourselves against the wall. But no one else can see the preservation of the martyring me. Psychosocial, 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 psychosocial. Wrecks in the road we laid. Building a
Okay, that is freaking awesome. All right. Thanks for coming. I hope you kind of enjoyed what I was able to talk about. Learn more about me. Learn more about life. Let's see. Next time, tomorrow, hopefully I'll have a stream. Hopefully I'm not exhausted from the driving I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm probably going to mention something about my... What was I going to do? I was going to talk about something. I know I was going to talk about something, but I got to remember what it was. Oh, let's see. I talked about my first scar. Well, not my first scar. I'll tell my first scar in a second. It's a fun story. But At least for me, it's a fun story. My mom always told it, and I loved it. All right, so be nice out there. Be kind to anybody that you meet, and do your homework in the dark. Eat your cereal with a fork.